Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nation's organization's main fan page right here at Facebook, where I do a daily live stream show around the divination cards or the oracle cards that are drawn in the morning as a group, right? And I should say almost every day since I missed yesterday. I wanted to thank everybody that made comments on the post and sending me Reiki and good thoughts, that good juju stuff. Yeah, thank you so much. I do feel better today. I feel a little bit more rested. Um, yeah, it's not because I'm like sick, I I had a little bit of a sore throat I woke up with yesterday and my voice was kind of in and out and mom didn't have a good day yesterday either. And so it was just a lot going on and I was just so tired, yeah, exhausted, kind of tired, right? Um, and so I thought, I should practice what I preach, right? And take care of myself. So I took yesterday off and took some naps and played with George and, of course, took care of mom yet. But so I had a little bit of a down day yesterday, which was good, which is really, really good. So here I am back today and I do feel so much better. I still have this kind of pesky little thing in the back of my throat, but you know what? Compared to yesterday, I'm like back like 90%. So thank you everybody for wishing me well and sending me such good healing energy. I appreciate it. Before we get going too far down the road, what I'd like to do is share and like the broadcast, the live stream, because we're going to be covering something today. I think that could be kind of big. So I want to make sure that those who are going to be here, that want to be here, are here, and so I'm going to share it out to my news feed. And just to make sure my friends know that I'm live streaming. And if they'd like to join. And please join. There we go. And if I could ask you to do the same thing, to share it out. It's we're going to be talking about a couple things today. I think that might be kind of important to a few people. And so we're going to give them a few minutes to actually get here, So we'll see who's here. Rochelle is here. Hey, Rochelle, good to see you here. She says there's a blizzard here. I know we're under not just travel advisories, but they're saying don't travel on the interstate. Yeah. Donnie's here. Hey, Donnie, good to have you here. Good to see you back. He says, hi, y'all. Love and light to you all. Same to you. Thank you, Rochelle. You are a sweetheart for sharing. Yes, you are. And hey, Polly Joe's here. Hello, Polly Joe. Your nephew is now sleeping. Speaking of which, I have to share this. I shared a couple pictures of him. This is George, and he's not quite 3 months old. This picture was taken by my sister-in-law, Paul's twin sister. Soon after, I think she was here soon after we had gotten George, and she is a freelance photographer. And so she took this picture and she, of course, she gave it to us and we actually have a picture like printed on a canvas of this one. But this particular picture, she submitted to a photography. It was about sportsmen and they had 4 or 5 different categories and pets was one of them, and it happened to be in Minocqua, which is in north central Wisconsin here. And so anyway, this picture of George took 3rd place. Can you believe it? There was over 200 pictures. And this one took 3rd place. And so that's the first time she's won in a category. And so she wanted to share. She was all excited last night. Well, so are we. And what does Paul do? He goes, what do we have to do to be in 1st place? It's like, George was just a baby. he wanted to be in the picture, right? So I just wanted to share that with you. So a couple proud parents of a furry boy. Yeah, that's George. He happens to be in the room with me right now. He's sleeping. He's doing what he does best, and that's holding energy for us. Here he is. I just took this one this morning. That's his favorite bear. He was listening to Polly Joe's show earlier today. He was upstairs here sleeping on the landing at the top of the stairs and heard her voice and came and sat on the steps for a few minutes and then came down and grabbed his bear and jumped up on the couch with me and was listening to Polly Joe. Yeah, that's my boy. Okay, here's our snowstorm. This is just out the front door. Yeah, that was earlier this morning. We too are having a blizzard here. I wouldn't really say a blizzard. They haven't called it that. Um, what they have done, they being the local government, is that they're restricting travel and they're saying stay off the interstate. Stay off the interstate. There was a lot of accidents yesterday, and so here's one. I couldn't help but take this one. I don't know if this does any good to this picture. But this is a maple tree out on the side yard here. And when I looked at it with the snow on the branches, oh my gosh, is it gorgeous? Gorgeous. Um, yeah, draped in snow. Draped in snow. You know, I know, winter, especially when it's like this, we have a lot to talk about and usually complain about, right? Between the shoveling and all of that. I'm just, getting cabin fever because it's been 2 days now since we really haven't been able to get out. Paul's gone to work, but he's got a big truck. All right, and here's a shot this morning. I just held the camera up and just took a quick picture and caught some snow. It's getting windy too, so that's kind of where that blizzardy kind of feeling is coming from. And the snow is getting blown off the branches, and yeah. Yeah, so we've got probably it's well over 12 inches of snow now. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of snow. We woke up to probably around 10 inches, and it's been snowing most of the morning. We're well over 12 inches. Yes, sir. Let's see. Got to scroll down. Oh, Polly Joe shared. Thank you, Polly Joe. And Stephanie is here. Thank you, Stephanie, for being here. She's our Star Nation social media manager. So it's always good to see her in the house. That means we're going to get some cool shares going on. Hey, and Shelly's here too. Good afternoon, Shelly. Light and love to you too. Thank you for being here. And Julie Shumway Hill is here as well. Julie Star Nation's Academy manager. So I've got both of my executive team in the house. The only one we're missing is Sharon. All right. And so, hey, Pat's here. Good. She said, good, cold, and blustery afternoon. Yeah, I know, right? It's a good time to bake cookies or read a book or listen to a live stream. Be with the peeps in the live stream, right? Stephanie says, sorry, I missed your show. I had to deal with the ex and his. Yeah, that was Polly Joe's show she missed. And Julie said, Sheridan, thank you so much, Julie. And Stephanie said, I will catch the replay after the non-show. Oh, good. Yeah, Polly Joe show. If you didn't catch it, please watch the recorded show. Her show was about intimacy. And let me tell you, answered a lot of questions, I think, for a lot of people. And the cutting of cords and when you're in a good relationship and when you're not, right? When there is a healthy intimacy in a relationship, not just a sexual relationship, but any relationship. And so it's a really good one. I think it's going to be one of those shows that is going to be well watched in the YouTube realm too. I do believe. And so today, let's see. Gosh, my sisters are having a conversation, and so you're going to hear the beep beeps coming up. I should probably turn that off somehow. Did you ever notice that you think that you did that and it still does the chiming? I don't know. I must have missed one of those notifications. All right, so I just want to make sure that I got those pictures that I wanted to share with you done. Yep, I did. Good. And so today is Tuesday, February 12th, right? We're halfway through February. Oh my goodness. Time flies, doesn't it? Faster than I ever remember thinking it was. And I know that Grandmother Earth, her hurts how they measure her heartbeat, right, is and her vibration is a lot higher than it's ever been in recorded history, and that's why it feels like time is flying, is because it is. Um, and so, trying to get as much done in a day when everything's going by so quickly. Yeah, one of the big things that I'm working on for Star Nations, for the magazine in particular, is I've been working on articles. I'd asked the contributing writers to send me 3 of their most favorite articles that they had written in the years that they've been here with us, and so I started working with those over the weekend, and yeah, it's kind of like a nice trip down memory lane. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that one. But what we're going to be doing is getting the articles in front of about 10,000 readers, and so writing copy for those articles and getting those. It's a new thing that we're doing. And so anyway, it's kind of exciting. It is exciting. It's a lot of work, but it is very exciting to be able to get their voices amplified even more, even more. So that's what I've been working on. I was going to work on it yesterday, but you know what? I just took naps yesterday. I feel really, really good today. That's for sure. All right. So, Polly Joe says, happens to me all the time. Let me know when you figure it out. I know, I know. Just I think I have it, and then the notifications still either they chime or they buzz, and I know that I have my phone on vibrate, and I have to have it somehow that I can actually know that something's going on, even during a show, because well, you get family out there, and you want to know if something's going on, right? All right. So today, for those people who may be new to this afternoon or this our live stream, this is the card deck that we're currently using. It's called the Druid Animal Oracle. It's by Philip and Stephanie Cargome and illustrated by Bill Worthington. We started this on February 1st, so it's only been a few days. And I'm telling you, I'm learning a lot about Druidry. More than I knew, like this much, probably not even that much. Whenever I had a question, I always contact Mervyn Kelly. He's one of our show hosts here, live stream show, from Star to Stone, and he's a modern day Druid. And his teacher, or I don't even know if that's the correct term, his mentor maybe, is Philip. And so, actually, Mervyn is the one who gifted me this oracle deck, and the book was signed by Philip. So, yeah, very good. And today's card. I think that this is going to be a very interesting conversation. I was kind of hoping that Mervyn was going to be able to join us this evening. It's evening for him over there in England. This is the card that came today. I don't know. Let's see. Make sure we don't get a glare on there. Salmon. And the Gaelic word for salmon is Bradan. Bradan. And the salmon is one of the highest held in esteemed Druid animals. A totem for them. They say that it is the oldest, the longest living totem, and it is the wisest. Okay, and so when in search of wisdom or knowledge, this is the totem that you want coming to you if you're a Druid. Whereas in most Native American nations, I'm not going to speak for everybody, obviously, but ours would be like the eagle, right? The eagle would be the coveted one. That's the one you want to come to you, to be your power animal, to be your birth totem, that sort of thing. And so with the salmon, as I was looking at this picture, we'll start at the top. surrounded by the leaves there, right? And you can see kind of the roots in the background. And the salmon is jumping out of the water to catch that nut. And you got waterfalls in the background, right? And cattails in the background. In a pool of water. And I'm going to see if I can focus the camera on this one. Over in on the side there we go. There is a nut that has an ogum, not ogum, oem. I hope I pronounced that right. Mervyn was working so hard with me to try to pronounce that word right. Oem etched in it. There's those hash marks. It's a very ancient Druid written language. Yeah. And the one drop of water, or the drops of water, that one right there that landed, you can see the ripple, right, in the water. The salmon's got that color. That's where we get the name salmon color, right? On his belly. It's not quite pink and it's not quite orange. Yeah. So, I was thinking about, okay, so what do I know about salmon without looking at any of the books, right? What do I know about salmon? I know that salmon in the Northwest here in the United States is a very important fish for the Northwestern indigenous people. They have the times where salmon would be like their important food to them would be like our whitetail deer, or the buffalo on the Great Plains. Okay, salmon for the indigenous people in northwestern United States, Turtle Island. Salmon is they really do. They have songs about it. They have ceremonies around it. They have a special fishing, hunting for them, if you will. And so it's very important to their life in northwestern United States. They even have them on totem poles. And to be part of a fish clan, especially the salmon clan, is a really unique and precious connection to that gives them life, the salmon, right? Yeah. And I know that salmon, when they mate and spawn, when they conceive their children, that they actually swim back to where they were conceived. So they swim home. And it seems like they're swimming against the current. But what they're really utilizing is the spirit of water and how the current runs. Beneath the surface current, there's another current. And they utilize that energy to be able to make it back upstream. So they're not really swimming against the current as much as they're swimming with an alternate current. Does that make sense? And I read that a long time ago because the way that they swim back home is very symbolic, I think, to our healing path. Is that almost all of us have something in our childhood that we're healing or that we have healed. I was talking to the lady who helps me at home here, Susie. She comes and helps and cleans my house and that kind of thing. And she was here yesterday, and we were talking about. Well, she grew up Amish, okay, and I was asking about how they do their vaccinations, if they do, and they don't. And so what it was like for her when she left her Amish life as an adult, a young adult, what that was like when she had her child. And she was, telling me her story about that. And I looked at her and I said, I don't think it matters where we come from, what parents we come from, what culture we live in, what race we are, what religion we are. We all have something in our childhood from our parents that we're trying to heal. Even though we might have had a good childhood, um, there's something. There's something that our parents brought to us through, society teaching us their belief systems and all of that. And when it comes to the salmon, we're swimming home. They're swimming home to conceive their own children, right? And so they're swimming back, kind of like back to their hometown. How many people in the chat still live in their hometown where they grew up, where they were born practically, and how many people don't? When I left my hometown, Wisconsin Dells, back when I was 18, I said, I'm not coming back. I never even went back to get my diploma. They had to mail it to me. Because all they do is they give you the cardboard book thing, and you're supposed to go and pick it up to make sure that all your fines are paid and all that, right? Well, I didn't have any, and no fines. And so anyway, they had to mail it to me because I didn't want to go back. And I've never lived there again. So obviously I had some healing to do around my childhood, right? And so it's just interesting how the salmon swims back home. And it's really, to me, I think it's really very symbolic. And so that's the little bit that I know about salmon, other than it's a healthy fish for us to eat, right? Yeah. All right. Sure, I can show the ohm again. Let's see if I can get my camera to focus. Focus, camera, there we go. So it's a single line with, it looks like four lines through it. Whoops, sorry. I like that waterfall in the background too. And actually, when you look at it, there's two streams that are coming together at the very top and becoming one stream into the fall. So it's a double waterfall. I'm sure that's significant with the water and emotion, isn't it? Yeah. All right. Let's see. I'm getting caught up here. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Stephanie, for putting Polly Jo, the link to her show in. Thank you so much for that. Yep, we got that one. And how do you spell OM? Okay, so that is OGHM. OGHM. OM. I hope I pronounced that right. I tell you, Mervyn was working with me to try to get that pronunciation down. And thank you, Stephanie. See, she put some really cool information in for us, for those who would like to look up more. All right, and so Julie says she lives in her hometown. Yep. And so does Donnie. Rochelle says, I eat a lot of salmon. I eat some. I wouldn't say a lot. And Pi says, I don't live near where I was born, but I live close to where I grew up after the age of 4. Yeah, see, I think it's kind of significant. I do, to where we end up living and for how long and how many times, if we move, when we move, to our soul growth and to wherever that we're going, or where we're living, and the vibration of that space. And so when we're considering the salmon and how it swims back to where it was conceived. And so when you think about it, there are many salmon that swim back to the same spot, right? And that's to spawn, to find a mate and to spawn and to start another generation. Yeah. And so for us, maybe it's holding the symbology of going back to where our childhood, right? And looking at, those aspects of our childhood that, maybe it's a reflection of how far we've come, what we've healed, um, or maybe it's another round of healing, because it's in layers. Maybe you're ready for another layer of that childhood event to be healed. And the fact that that's surrounded by a lot of water, moving water, and also looks like, where he's jumping out of doesn't look like it's moving, other than maybe the ripple, that ripple effect, right? And so when we do our own healing, especially the emotional healing that's symbolic with the water, we yeah, obviously we affect ourselves, right? Our soul growth. When we heal something that was a trauma, it's on the other side of that is our wisdom, is the knowledge. And we do know that the salmon represents knowledge, represents wisdom to the druids, right? All right. They're very, very, lots of talking in the chat. Okay. So Kimberly, hey, Kimberly's here. Hi, Kimberly. She says, I have moved back home after living in different places and abroad, feel very content. Love the salmon. Ah, good for you. Good for you. And Stephanie is saying the OM is strife, blackthorn Z source. Okay. Don't know what that means. Julie says it looks like the OM for read. Yes, is about direction, purpose, and responsibility, order, chaos, ancestral skills. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And she's also saying there's one midline with three slanted lines crossing the midline. Ah, I see. Okay. Well, we're going to see what the author. I'm sure that's what the author has too. Yep. Okay. Good, ladies. Um, more information if you want to look it up. Well, let's see what the author has to say, what Philip has to say. The words that are associated with salmon is wisdom, inspiration, and rejuvenation. Wisdom, inspiration, and rejuvenation. It says the card shows a salmon leaping toward a hazelnut that is falling from one of the 9 trees of wisdom which grow beside the sacred pool. The OM sign for reed, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the word Nedgentle, Ingentle, maybe that's it, is carved on one of the nuts hanging near the water. Bradan, which is the Gaelic word for salmon, is revered with extremely sacred in the Druid tradition. It's the oldest animal, and it offers us wisdom and inspiration. Often with great difficulty, the salmon will return to the place of its birth to mate. To find wisdom, we too need to recapitulate our lives, to journey in consciousness back to our beginnings. So, in other words, is to make that conscious travel back to our beginnings, no matter what they are. I know some people would say, "Yeah, but I'm adopted. I don't know where my beginnings were." Um, and so you just go back as far as you can, right? And so maybe it is just back to the orphanage. Maybe it is if you know where that is, right? To your physical birth, or maybe back to the day that you were adopted, and the stories that you were told about your adoption, or perhaps not told about the adoption, right? So you just go back as far as you can. Yeah. It says to our childhood and perhaps beyond to our very origins in God or goddess. So there is our physical origin, our childhood origin, right? Our birthplace. But if we go back even further, if we go back um, to maybe even the conception of our soul and what that would mean for us in our lifetime right now. I know somebody's going to ask, well, how do you know where your soul is conceived? Well, you can easily contact an astrologer that does that kind of work. An esoteric astrologer would be able to tell you. You can also ask your spiritual team to show you, because you can ask your guardian angel. They know. They've been with you since the day your soul was conceived. And so you can go back even further if you wanted to. If that's what you feel is right for you, that resonates for you, is to go back to the conception of your soul. Or perhaps it's only going back to your birth, your physical birth in this particular lifetime. Yeah. So you'll know, you'll feel it. How far back for your soul's growth do you need to go? Julie says, my hometown, however, has finished with its lessons for me, and I hope to move on this year. Oh, well, good for you, Julie. Good for you. We okay, for our audience, Julie and I both grew up in the same area. We went to school together, grade school through high school. Yeah, and so in that area, yeah, my life lessons with it was gone a long time ago. But on the other hand, I also know that it doesn't look anything like it did when we were kids. The energy is completely different there than when we were kids. So I can understand why or how that would feel, that you're finished. And Pat saying, I moved to my present town when I was 7. It has never felt like home. So, one time my mom asked me, I was driving, I can't remember where I was taking her, but we were driving into Baraboo, Wisconsin. Okay. And she looked at me and she says, where is it that you feel the most at home? You've lived in many different places. And I said, here in Baraboo. I said, I've never even lived here, but as soon as I see the bluff range and I can feel them, it's for me, it's like coming home. It's like coming home. And I always feel, I've never felt the pull to actually live there. But it's a place that I find content. I was born in the Baraboo Bluffs in a hospital, in a Catholic hospital. And so whenever I drive by them or I'm in Baraboo, that's where I feel the most connection. And I do believe it's because of that vibration. Now, we didn't live where I was born in that city, but we lived close by, just like Polly Joe was talking about, right? Yeah, Julie's saying, yeah, it's completely different. Yeah. I don't get back there very often, but the last time I was, it says it doesn't even feel the same. It doesn't feel the same at all. All right. So Philip goes on to say, the Bradan brings not only wisdom, but youthfulness and inspiration. But remember that to find these things, you must maintain an attitude of openness and innocence rather than strong-headed determination. So, that childlike quality, right, of that openness, rather than the left brain, make the list and check it off kind of thing. Yeah. Because sometimes don't you find that when you least expect that aha moment to occur is when it happens? It's like when you're really trying really hard and you're sitting in classes or you're reading, your fifth book or whatever on the same subject. That it's not until you're actually doing something, maybe even in the mundane, whether it's dishes or laundry or vacuum cleaning or if you're outside playing with your puppy, is that when you're more relaxed and you're having fun, that those aha moments could pop in. It's like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. Because I remember once we were living in Oklahoma at the time, and Paul was at work, and I was walking around I was on post, Fort Sill, and I was walking around the walking track, which goes around their golf course, right? And I would go there early in the morning before it got hot, and I had taken a break from my state job, and I felt like I was, it's like I was restless is a good word for it. I was restless. I didn't know what was going on, why I didn't feel comfortable in my job anymore, and blah blah blah, right? And I remember I was watching other people walking, and they had their headphones on, earbuds in, and I'm thinking, they're probably listening to music or something, but man, they're missing the songs of the birds and watching the scissor tail birds flying and actually hovering, and they're missing nature. And as I was walking, I realized it popped in the reason why I was feeling the way I was feeling. So I had one of those aha moments, um, that this is the way a lot of people feel when they retire. And yet I was pretty young yet. I mean, I was late 30s. I think it was late 30s. No, maybe early 40s. Early 40s. And I thought, how could that be? I'm not that old. And it was like, yeah, but you've been working since you were 5. So in the culture that we grow up in, the society that we grew up in, I was at retirement age. And so it was like, okay, take stock. What do you really want to do now? Which direction do you want to go in? Right? I was relaxed. I wasn't pushing it. I wasn't um, thinking with my left brain. Yeah. Yep. Got that one. Well, hi, Gina. Gina's here. Good to have you here, Gina. All right. I got to keep track of the time because we got lots to cover. All right. So, the card didn't come to me in a reverse, but I do want to read at least one sentence to you about the reverse because I feel like it might apply to maybe a few people. Okay. And in the reverse, it says, the salmon is able to jump upstream, not by fighting against the current, by utilizing its knowledge of the reverse current, which flows beneath the surface current. Beneath the surface current. Okay, think about that for a moment. The salmon is able to jump upstream, not by fighting against the current, but utilizing its knowledge of the reverse current, which flows beneath the surface. How can that symbolize our life any clearer, right? Is that there's so much more for us underneath the surface than what we see with our naked physical eyes. There's so much more there, and that we have more knowledge underneath the surface. And he says, from this salmon leaping, we can derive the word somersault as a corruption of salmon salt. Children somersault, and choosing this card reversed is urging you to connect with the leaping, dancing child within. Urging you to connect with the leaping, dancing child within. Okay, as I'm reading that, I hear this noise behind me. It's George. He's sleeping. And he's suckling. He's going back to his childhood, to his babyhood. It's too funny. It was pretty loud. Okay, so children somersault, and choosing this card is urging you to connect with the leaping, dancing child within. So, our child within, what we show people on the surface, even if that we're not wearing a mask and we're as real as we possibly can be, right? We're still this adult, and we're doing the adulting thing, right? But beneath the surface, is that aspect of us that is innocent and curious, right? Um, how many people? When was the last time you guys somersaulted? It could be quite a while ago. Um, yeah, so there's more. There's more to us underneath that surface current. I like that. I like that a lot. So Philip goes on to write that the Druid quest is a quest for wisdom and knowledge. And this search leads finally to the oldest animal, Bradan, the salmon, swimming in the well of wisdom at the source of all life. In Irish mythology, this well is called Conla's Well, or the Well of Sagas, at the River Boyne. And so the River Boyne, I know, in Ireland is a very important river. And when you cross the River Boyne, it's going into the other world, right? Yeah. And so one of the things that he wrote about here is about the hazelnut trees. I didn't know much about hazelnut trees. I actually had to read about it a bit. And so the the wisdom the wisdom in the well comes from the trees, from the nuts falling into the river, the salmon splitting the nut and then taking the nut further downstream, and so it's planted again. So the knowledge is being spread, right? Um, one of the things I wanted to share with you was this book. It's an old book. It is copyrighted in 1993. Fire in the Head, Shamanism and the Celtic Spirit by Tom Cowan. Yeah, this book has been well read. It's been loaned out a few times. I loaned it out and it didn't come back, and I ended up buying another book. And after I bought that book, the person who borrowed it, I think it was Anne. I think Anne is the one that borrowed it. It's my mom's phone. And so it's been shared quite a bit. And the reason why is because I had so many people in my life who were of Celtic or Irish heritage and feeling lost. And I said, when I read this book, it really did help me understand the connection between Irish and Native American, because we have a lot of similarities in our relationship with Great Britain, with our belief in spirituality and with nature, right? And the reason why I even got this book years ago is because, and I think I told you guys this story, part of that story is I had finished teaching a 2-week certification course for feng shui and space clearing. And it was the day that everybody went home, right? And so I had put some stuff away, and I was our other dog Ginger. She was still in daycare, and so I laid down on the couch for a little while. And nope, I'm sorry. That was later in the evening. I'm trying to relax, and I'm just reading a book. No book that's going to do anything for my knowledge base. It was purely for fun. And I kept hearing this word from my spiritual team. They kept saying paradisus, and to the point where it was even shouted at me, paradisus. And I said, fine, I'll look it up. Because I say, are you saying paradise? No, paradisus. And paradisus, I couldn't even find it in the encyclopedia, because we still had print ones at home at the time. And it wasn't until the following day I was actually telling my friend Rochelle at her state job about it. And so I was in her cubicle, and she swings around. She goes, well, did you look it up yet? And I said, no. And so she spun around and typed it in, and she typed in paradise. And I said, no, it's not. That's not how it's spelled. And so she spelled it the way I was told it was spelled. And what came up was Irish or Celtic shamanism. Celtic shamanism. And the word that came up to go along with it was an imrama. Imrama. And I didn't even know what that word was. And the imrama is actually it's a voyage, and it is in a specific kind of canoe, and it's like a vision quest in a way, but you're on a river, the river of knowledge, and you're on a quest. And this is an old Irish and Celtic belief in what they call Irish shamanism, okay, or Celtic shamanism. Um, and so, for those of you that have roots, your DNA and your blood and bones of Irish or Celtic, because it's two different things, it's not the same, that you may want to take a look at this book, or at least to look up Imrama. Let's see if I can get that spelled in the comments for you. If I can do that. Sometimes the comments don't work. And let's see. I got to get down to the bottom. There we go. Okay, so it's Immrama, Imrama, and it's a voyage, a quest. Actually, I'm going to put spiritual quest. It's I should have put in there Celtic and Old Irish. So the salmon, what does this have to do with the salmon? Well, the salmon comes from the well of knowledge, right? And from the well of knowledge flows the stream of the river of knowledge. And so this paradisus, and I should probably put that in there too, huh? So you know how to spell it. Now, it looks like it should be paradise. And this is part of the Imrama. There we go. That it's very, very similar to a vision quest, an umblecha. The umblecha, that they put you up on a hill, right? And there's ceremony that goes with it. It's part of the 7 rites of the Osheti Sakoi, the Great Sioux Nation. But this is what I'm talking about is about the Celtic shamanism, and it's about gaining wisdom, gaining insight into your current life, and what you're here to do, what you're here to accomplish in it. Yeah. All right. I gotta check the chat here. That explains why the squirrels have been showing up. Oh yeah, that's right. Polly Joe says, did a cartwheel on my 50th birthday a couple of years ago. Oh, see? And Rochelle said, I never could do a cartwheel, but took judo classes in my late teens and did a lot of somersaults then. Bones couldn't do it now. Polly Joe said, I used to teach how to do acrobats for a long time. I'm 42% Irish. I didn't know. Did you do your DNA? Did you do that? I didn't know you did. Rochelle says, I'm about 30% Scottish and 50% Polish. Okay. Yeah, there we go. All right, so I just wanted to read you just one sentence out of this book about the Imrama. It says, the Imrama prepare us to encounter familiar categories in unfamiliar settings and to accept the breakthroughs in human understanding that encounters will produce. Or maybe we'll learn in a more dramatic way than we ever have learned in this reality that everything really does contain its opposites. So a lot of this also is, remember we were talking of the what was that called? it was the opposites. It was at yesterday, 2 days ago. It says it's also possible that the point of the Amrama is to encourage us to make the most of all aspects of human life while we're still alive, so that we do not come to the end of our lives and discover that we have not lived as fully as we could have. Salvation, enlightenment, or fulfillment after death may hinge on our having made the most of the opportunities, both negative and positive, presented to us in this life. So it's going on to say that in shamanic terms, disremember and remember, but to learn a process wondrously realized by the analogy of the voyage, a mode of thinking based on openness and desire for adventure. For if the dying soul is to make the final transition into the next life with grace and composure, it must be ready for anything. It's been a long time since I read this book. I read this book probably in 2001, I think it was. But it's by Tom Cowan, and he still teaches. He's out on the East Coast. He still teaches. Salmon. That's where we get salmon, because this conversation was started by this card by Salmon. You know, and from what I could tell, from what Philip wrote about in the book for the Druid Animal Oracle, is that there are many, many stories, both in Irish, Scottish, and Druid stories about the salmon, and knowledge, wisdom, and many times in the stories, it is the knowledge is gained by a child, usually a boy. And when I sat back and was thinking about that, I was thinking it's not necessarily youth, right? But referring to our inner child. That part of us has a lot more wisdom than we give it credit for. Especially the way that we refer to our inner child most of the time. Like it's not a part of us. It's like over there somewhere. And that inner child is needy, right? We're having to do so much healing for that inner child to feel safe. And yet that's the part of us that holds a lot of our wisdom. It's the connection, that part of us, that's connection between our conscious self and our higher consciousness, or what's called our soul. And so I don't think we don't necessarily think of our inner child in that capacity. You know, many times when we're talking about our inner child, we're talking about our inner child having fun, which is true. Our inner child does want to have fun, but I think that's the part of us that really holds the memories of our wisdom. And in that relationship that that communicates, that remembering to us. That's the part of us that's remembering. Yeah, I think so. And, you know, the salmon, it's called one of the oldest animals, and how high in esteem that salmon is held by Druids, right? And yet the salmon in their stories give their wisdom, their knowledge to a child. I think that's fascinating. From a psychological point of view, that's fascinating. Yeah. So this is one of the reasons I'm always talking about if we're grounded or not, right? Because I think that if we're grounded, our inner child feels safer. because we're taking care of that aspect of ourselves. And so when we're ready to tap into the knowledge that inner child is holding, that our energy isn't spent trying to feel safe. We are safe. And so we're able to access and tap into that information, our own knowledge, our own wisdom that's beneath the surface. It's that current that's running beneath the surface. Yeah. Huh. Very interesting. All right. Let's see. Julie. Julie is saying, I'm 29% from Ireland and Scotland, and the remaining 71 from England, Wales, and Western Europe. So I think I probably have ancient Irish and Celtic in me. I would venture a definite yes to that. Oh my goodness. And so it's good that I think that you have the opportunity, right? You have a lot of people around here at Star Nations that certainly have some information for you, I think, or at least can point you in a direction for that information. Apologize. Yep, through ancestry. Yeah. Paul and I just got ours last month. It was a Christmas present we gave to each other, and we were both kind of surprised of what came out of that. It ends up that he's probably more Russian than he thought. That was the big one. For me, I'm more German than I am French. I mean, French was 4% and German is 6%. It's like, all right. I would have guessed that the French would have been a lot more. Oh my goodness. And Stephanie is saying twin bucks just walked up to my patio. Twins. That's a major deer medicine going on there. Huh. And for me, deer has a lot to do with our inner world, because even with the males, they're a lot more gentle than other deer species. Like the elk. The elk aren't as gentle. The moose certainly are not. But the deer for me are a lot more about our inner healing inside. They're not so extroverted. Yeah. Interesting. Twins. All right. So, just out of curiosity, I know that we only have a couple minutes left, and I ask this almost every day, but how many people remember to do their grounding and protection today? And if you haven't, it's okay if you haven't, but if you can take just a few minutes to do it, it really would be helpful, not just to your own growth, but to the vibration around you. Yeah, you affect much more than what you think. And so when we're grounded, it's good for us, but it's also good for everything around us. Much like, let me get the card back out. The ripple effect down here at the bottom, right, is what we do with that knowledge and that wisdom. It ripples out. It ripples out. Yeah. I like this card. I do. I was so excited to do this. Of course, I missed you guys yesterday. Literally, I missed you guys. All right, so we have one more show yet today, Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, and that's my weekly show, Communications from Home. We're going to be talking about the magazine, the February issue of the magazine, and the highlighted articles and some of the backstories to the creation and the production of this particular magazine. Yeah, it went pretty smoothly, but there were some things that you guys I would like to share with you. So if you could join me, I really would appreciate that. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern, Communications from Home. And then tomorrow night on Wednesday, February 13th is our daily show, of course, in the afternoon. But in the evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time is Soul Connections with Polly Joe LeBay. And Polly Joe, that's I tell you what, I get to produce that show, which I think is a blessing in itself. So I get to be like front row. But the first half of that broadcast is about healing. And so if you're an energy worker or a light worker and you haven't taken the time to do your own self-care, your own healing, Wednesday nights is a good time to do that. Because that's what most of us are there for, is to do our own personal healing. Polly Joe and her team, they hold that sacred space for us to be able to do that. We bring our own individual intentions and our own spiritual teams, and we do our own work, but it's a collective. And Polly Joe and her team, they assist us in that. And it can be kind of a powerful evening with all of us doing our own work that way. And then the second half, Polly Joe does a card draw. So if you like that or interested in getting a mini reading, Polly Joe will draw a card for you. If you say yes, please in the comments, she'll draw a card for you. And I think her highest card night was 55, and that was a couple of weeks ago. She drew 55 cards in one evening. That's a lot. That's a lot. Oh my gosh. So Julie's saying, I have not, but will right after the show. Well, oh, good. Thank you, Julie, for doing your grounding. Going to do it. Yep. Okay. So that's on Wednesday evening. On Thursday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern is a brand new show. It's called Life Wisdom with Ed Langen. And it's his premiere show. So if you can join him to support him, that would be wonderful. He's going to be doing quite a bit. He's going to be introducing himself, so you kind of know from his perspective where he's coming from and how did he get awake on his spiritual path. But because it's Valentine's Day, he's going to be talking about relationship and the law of attraction. He's also going to be doing some tapping work around self-love, and he's also going to do some channeling for you guys. So if you have a question that you'd like to ask, not just your guides, but the Ascended Masters, please send him your question, hopefully by the end of the day today, so that he can spend some time with it tomorrow. And we'll put the link in the comments on where to send your questions to, okay? And he'll get to as many of them as he possibly can in the second half of his show on Thursday. Yeah? Okay, good. All right. Well, and with that, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Oh, you know what I forgot to say? If any of this resonated with you, anything and everything that we spoke about today about wisdom and the salmon, in the Imrama, I mean, if it resonated with you, I encourage you to embrace it and then watch, sense, feel, see how the energy today unfolds around you and where this information is helpful. If it didn't resonate, don't worry about it. It's okay. You're not going to hurt anybody's feelings. There's always tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow's card information will resonate, right? Right. Okay. So with that, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow afternoon for the daily live stream and card draw information at 3 p.m. Eastern. Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.